Okay, waiting room's off there, guys. Right, let's crack on, guys. So this will only be maybe about 45 minutes to an hour, right? There is a lot of information on this. We will just be scratching the surface, and this is just really covering the basics whenever it comes to sort of female health, female hormones, and nutrition, okay? So for anybody that doesn't know myself, I know I've got a lot of our Evolve guys on here. We've got some coaches on here, which is great to see, a lot of guys on here as well that coach women day to day, which is absolutely amazing, guys, because if you can have a better understanding of how the female body works and hormones working with your women, you're going to yield better results from them as well, which is unreal. So as a coach, guys, I have been coaching, and recently, whenever I say this, it actually makes me realize that I am getting older, because I have been coaching for now 10 years, 10 whole years, guys, and it's scaring the shit out of me that it's been 10 years now, but it's been a mad, crazy journey, and just helping women has just been one of my most biggest wins in life, guys. So throughout my coaching career, my sole aim is just to help as many women as possible bring their health and fitness vision just to reality through educating and empowering them by creating a stronger body with training and nutrition that serves them for life. Okay, I feel like every single woman I work with has this vision in their head of what they would love to look and feel like, and if I can take that vision out of their head and bring it to life through training, through nutrition, through educating them, then that makes me feel amazing as a coach, guys. Okay, so that's a wee bit about myself. Me and Oren have obviously been creating Evolve for the last 6 years now, which has been absolutely crazy. So a lot of my time in the last couple of years has just been through managing Evolve and the background of that as well, guys. So let's cover what we're going to do in this webinar tonight, right? We're going to cover strength training, very tip of the iceberg strength training, just for anybody who maybe is in their 40s and 50s and hasn't maybe went to the gym and strength training. If you think of it maybe just being for the younger generation, the 20 and 30-year-olds, that is completely not the case. We're going to touch on menopause, basically what happens and how it maybe affects your hormones through training and strength training. We're going to look at the menstrual cycle, the whole phase of it. Again, tip of the iceberg stuff, guys. We're going to look about how we're going to get the most out of your nutrition and training, and then working alongside our hormones rather than constantly fighting and working against them. And I think a lot of women are guilty with this because we just want to do it all the time, and we're highly strong women. And if we work alongside our hormones, listen to our bodies, you're going to get so much more out of it than constantly fighting against it. So let's crack on. Strength training, guys. What is strength training? Why is it important? And the bigger picture and the benefits. So sometimes I feel that people just see strength training as just that 1 hour in the gym, you're lifting weights, and that's it. You know, it makes you feel good at the time. Yeah, it gives you a wee bit of a better body and stuff like that. But there's a whole lot more that goes on than just lifting weights. Okay, so basically, just for anybody who hasn't maybe, or who's on this here, who hasn't maybe trained and stuff, strength training is performance exercise. It is a form of exercise where we overload the body with weights so that we do become stronger over time. Usually whenever I work with women, we make sure we can manage our body weight first and use that as our progressive overload before we start loading the body with weights, just to ensure that we have a good pattern of movement, we can move it well, we can manage our own body weight before throwing a load of weights on your body and making it overwhelming and stressful for you. So again, guys, like I said, strength training, it's not just for athletes. It's not just for the 20, 30-year-olds throwing weights about in the gym. It is for absolutely everybody, every gender, every age group, absolutely everybody. Okay. So the importance for women, right? And throughout my career, I have heard this quite a lot, and I've heard especially at meals just being like, women are just small men, so just train the same as them. And it infuriates me because we are not. We are completely different, guys. We have different nutrition requirements. We've different micronutrition requirements. We should be training slightly different. Yes, the bases and the bolt's going to be the same, where yes, we're going to squat, we're going to deadlift. Movements are going to be slightly the same, but maybe how we do them is going to be slightly different. Our whole biomechanics different. Our biology is different. We're just completely unique. Okay. And there's been a lot of times where I've been in commercial gyms and I've seen maybe girls who are maybe a wee bit afraid and intimidated by going to the gym themselves. So they go with their boyfriends or their fiancés or husbands, and they end up following their chest and biceps day. And I'm just watching them declining, inclining, like bench pressing, flies and everything. And yes, there is a wee part of that there, but there could be so much more that they could be doing with their time. They'd really get the most out of their training. So again, guys, we're completely different. We've got wider pelvises with a lower center of gravity. I don't know if anybody's seen that TikTok challenge where the guys and the girls are down on the ground and they put their hands behind their back and the guys headbutt the ground and the girls are able to do it fine. We're just completely different, guys. So if you think of strength training, it involves your muscles. And for a lot of women, for everybody, your muscle mass is going to be the structure of your body, okay? Depending on your muscle mass and your fat levels is depending on what your body's going to look like. And a lot of women want to tone up, okay, which is building muscle and stripping body fat away to create a better shape. We all want nice arms. We all want a nice lean back. We all want a nice small waist. We all want nice legs. So your muscle mass is going to give you your body shape. We can have two women exactly the same height, exactly the same weight, but one could be carrying 10 kilos of muscle mass more, and that woman's going to be able to, one, eat more, be stronger. Their body shape is going to look completely different to the one who maybe isn't carrying as much muscle mass, okay? So I'm going to touch on menopause, and then I'm going to go back to the strength training, okay? So a lot of women here might be going through this already or experiencing some side effects from the menopause, okay? So textbook, you to be clinically trialed as menopausal, you mustn't have a period for an entire year. Now, women don't just wake up and they're like, hey, here's the menopause, happy days. It's a gradual long-term effect. So for a couple of years, you might have 3 periods in a year, and then the next year you might have 2, and it's a slow, gradual process. It's not just you hit the age of 52 and you've stopped having your period and that serves you, that's it, done. It's a big cycle change. And even in the menopause, I could probably spend an hour talking about this as well, but again, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg. So for the average age, it is 52 in textbook, but again, everybody is completely different. Everyone's going to experience different symptoms, different experiences through their own body. And basically what just happens in the menopause is that your ovaries stop producing that egg every month. So they stop producing that estrogen. And that estrogen is super important when it comes to female health. Okay. And it's not just about producing an egg so we can get pregnant. Estrogen plays a vital role in bone health. So that's going to link into osteoporosis. Whenever we hit that menopausal phase, women do tend to lose muscle mass a lot easier. The metabolism does naturally slow down because, let's face it, ladies, you don't need as much energy as you do compared to when you were in your 20s and 30s and you're chasing after your young family all day, every day. And for a lot of women, they do slow down themselves without maybe recognizing it. We do come a wee bit more sedentary. And whenever I'm working with females and they're going through the menopause and they're just being like, Amy, I'm just struggling to lose weight. I've hit the menopause and it's so hard. It almost feels impossible. And yes, it does become harder, but it doesn't become impossible. We do really need to look at, okay, have we strength trained in the past? If we haven't, let's introduce it. But because our estrogen levels are lower, it might be harder for you to then build muscle, but it's not necessarily impossible. It just takes a wee bit more time, takes a wee bit more, you got to be more meticulous when it comes to your protein and your food. It might make you become a wee bit more aware of how sedentary you've become over the last couple of years, maybe like an office job, you're sitting down a lot more, especially at the weekends and things like that, that we really need to ramp it up again and get you fired up. But strength training can reverse and slow down a lot of effects of the menopause, okay? And we like to look at the whole muscle mass side and bone density side there, guys. So we're going to go back to strength training. So with the muscle mass reduction, guys, women can, if you're physically inactive, so if we're not training and if we're not really looking after our body and we're just sort of caught up in life, we can lose 3 to 5% of muscle mass every decade after the age of 30. And again, that there is just because we're slowing down, we're not training, we're not recruiting that new muscle building phase through strength training. And if you are not active and you're not training whenever you're 30 and plus, by the time you're 50, you can lose almost 10 to 15% of your muscle mass. And that might sound like a small percent, but genetically, women don't carry a lot of muscle mass. So from my experience, women would tend to carry on average 25 kilo of muscle. Okay, the higher end would be looking at that 30 kilo of muscle mass if we've strength trained for a good long time and we have that structure there. And then on the low end would be looking at 20 kilo and lower when it comes to muscle mass. So if we take 10 to 15% of that 20 kilo, 25 kilo, that's going to be a whole 5 kilo missing, gone. And that 5 kilo can make a massive difference on one, your metabolism. Okay, because 5 kilo muscle mass on can make a difference between you eating an extra 300 calories a day and still being able to maintain or lose weight and things like that, guys. So it's really, really important when it comes to looking at muscle mass for female bodies. And again, guys, the female hormone estrogen, it is essential for healthy bones. Okay, so whenever we hit menopause, estrogen levels fall. This can lead to a rapid decrease in bone density, and there's where osteoporosis is going to come through. And then as well, ladies, if we have a fall or an accident, if we break a bone when we're much older, because our estrogen levels are already low, when it comes to repair and recovery, it is so much slower. And it can be so much harder to then recover from that, where studies have shown that strength training not only helps slow bone loss down, but it also encourages bones to create new cells to form more bone. And that gain comes from the impact on bones that can occur over strength training. So it's just overloading that body to really switch on your body to be like, okay, I've got stress in my body here, I'm overloading, let's get my body fired up, let's get these cells going here, let's form more bone and create a stronger structure. So that's just the tip of the iceberg, just based on the importance of strength training for women when it comes to maintaining muscle mass and keeping that muscle mass, and then also for bone health there as well. So again, just like I just said there, I was touching on your metabolism. So again, a higher metabolism means that you burn more calories just at rest. Like, I'm sure you've all came across that one person that just eats and eats and eats and just doesn't seem to put on weight. But if you look at their body shape, they're probably already quite lean. So the leaner you are, the more calories your body can tolerate. So anytime I work with women, my ultimate goal is, if they do have weight to lose, I will get that weight off them in the most efficient, safely way possible. In a calorie deficit, yes. And then once they're in a leaner state, I will slowly increase their calories again, because my ultimate goal is to eat as much as possible while staying lean, while staying the weight that you want to stay at. That is my ultimate goal for whenever I work with women. And a lot of women forget that once they drop all that weight, or maybe not that they forget, maybe they just don't know that because you're smaller, you're leaner, that your body can tolerate that calorie increase. And then again, there's a whole approach to slowly increasing the calories rather than just jumping back straight up to 2,000 calories a day or 2,500 calories a day. And again, strength training, it's going to give you a leaner appearance, better posture. Again, over my time coaching and stuff, I've seen a lot of women with office jobs, and they've been sitting at an office desk for 9 to 5, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. And literally, guys, their shoulder blades just end up rounded. We've got tight shoulders. We can't pull our shoulder blades back. We struggle to put our arms up above our head. Like, so many things can come from just your day-to-day life. And just by doing that every day over the years can create them sort of health occurrences. Again, it improves your ability to do all activities of daily living, like strength training, squatting, deadlift, pushing, pulling, carrying is transferred into your life every day, and you just don't even realize it. For example, whenever you get into your car, you're more or less squatting into your car. When you're getting back out, you're coming from that depth squat, we're standing up. When we're carrying the Hoover up the stairs, we're doing a one-sided loaded carry. When we're carrying our shopping bags into the house, we're doing them farmer's carries. Whenever we're holding our babies in our hands and their dummy falls on the floor, we're doing a deadlift. Like all them wee things, strength training helps with to prevent injuries from just doing day-to-day things as well. And again, guys, strength exercise, obviously, because we're increasing muscle mass, we're training, we're feeling good. It can help reduce your resting blood pressure. It can improve and prevent type 2 diabetes, decrease physical discomfort, and reduce some like types of cancer. And there's a whole host of amazing benefits. And I firmly believe that 90% of health problems can be fixed with proper diet and exercise. I think if I was a GP, I think I'd be frustrated all day because I'd be like, just move more, like get away from your office job, like go out and move and eat better and look at your foods and stop taking these painkillers from back pain and find the problem and get the solution and work on it so it serves you longer than just constantly asking for a prescription of medication and dealing with it that way. So whenever you are in your 60s and 70s, you're still able to get up and down them stairs. You're still able to go for a walk and enjoy life. Like my biggest fear in life is whenever I'm older and I just can't get outdoors or look after myself and things like that as well. So that's a real big factor in why I train and, you know, keep myself physically fit. And I just love getting outdoors and exploring and just living life that way. And the thought of not being able to do that because I haven't looked after myself in my younger years gives me the fear, guys. Gives me the fear. So that's more or less strength training. The tip of the iceberg, just the quick bits on it. Again, guys, I could go a full hour into that there as well, but we've got a lot to cover. So let's talk about periods, right? The full cycle and the impact that it has on training and nutrition. Now, firstly, I want to say before we go into anything, every single woman on this planet is unique and experiences their own symptoms and is just completely different in their own way. And there is so many variables that can contribute to this, from environment, stress, weight, genetics, contraceptive, everything. And see, because of that, guys, there's very, very little research based on the menstrual cycle, because any results the research has given, it has just been far and few from that. They can't give exact answers, or it's just not accurate enough to be able to produce anything from it. And it's quite frustrating as a woman, because I know, like, my own problems and things like that, like whenever you're searching, you just want an answer, that it can be very, very hard to find that. And like, for example, everybody knows like a textbook menstrual cycle is 28 days. Okay. Only 13% of women have a 28-day cycle. So if you think about it, it's only 13% that a textbook 28-day cycle. Think about how many other day cycles there is in the world for the textbook one to be 13%. And for a textbook one, it has to be the largest group to be able to publish it and print it and say, yes, it's a 28-day cycle. There is so many variabilities when it comes to it. So whenever I'm talking about this, I'm just going to touch about the natural phase. Everybody is different. So the more you understand about your own body and why things are happening and why you feel a certain way, the easier your health and fitness journey can be, and the easier you'll be on yourself as well, guys. So we always want to work alongside our hormones, okay? Because then we're going to be a wee bit easier cells. It's going to be a wee bit more harmony than constantly trying to fight against it. All right. Again, everybody's different, unique, beautiful in their own way, and has different experience with their own bodies and hormones. So whenever it comes through your periods and cycling and things like that, the easiest way to get around it is just by tracking it. Okay. The more we can track, the more you can understand. And then the more you can relate little things and be like, oh, that's why that's happening. Okay, I get it. Right. You know what? I'm going to chill for a couple of days here, let my body rest and recover. And then I'm going to go at it whenever I know next week I'm going to feel 100% better. So the menstrual cycle has 4 parts. Okay. It's controlled by 2 main hormones, and that's going to be your estrogen and your progesterone. okay? So the 4 parts include, you've got your period, which is the week that we bleed, okay? And again, guys, everybody is different. It can last 2 days, it can last 8 days, it can last 2 weeks. Everyone is just completely different, okay? Then we have the follicular phase, right? I like to call this the, sorry, my dogs are here and I think Arm will be coming through the door. They're just getting wound up here. Sorry, guys. So phase 2, we've got the follicular phase, okay? And this is controlled by estrogen. Estrogen levels rise in the follicular phase. It is the feel-good phase. And give me a second, guys. And then whenever it comes to it, we have the ovulation phase, and then we go to the luteal phase, which is what I like to say, the touch and go phase. Bring the mic. Touch and go phase. Sorry, dogs are just going mad there. Or just come back in. So just going to go through that again, guys, because we were disrupted there. So we got your period, okay? Then we go you through your follicular phase, which is your estrogen phase, which is the feel good phase. Okay, I'll explain why we're feeling good. Then we have more or less where your fertility outline comes, your ovulation. Ovulation only happens within 24 hours as well, guys. And then your luteal phase. So whenever we break these up, yes, there is roughly like 11 to 21 day is going to be your follicular phase, but again, everybody is different. Like that could be 3 weeks for someone, that could be 2 weeks for someone. It absolutely depends. And again, tracking it is the best way we can go. The way we can track it is there's so many apps as well, ladies, that you can download to track, even just on your iPhone, like the health app. That's what I just use to track it. It's really good, but there's a load of other apps that go into a wee bit more detail. And I know there's some apps out there that be like, hey, you're in your follicular phase, you're going to feel awesome. Why not try this in your training? Or you're in your luteal phase. Okay, listen, don't worry about it. We're going to do something slightly different this week. And you're not going to be feeling your best, but we'll work around it. So again, guys, so what I would advise in doing is finding out like your ovulation. Now you can buy like ovulation packs online. They're really, really cheap. It's literally like taking a pregnancy test, you pee on a stick, you find out sort of where about your ovulation phase is. And once you find out where your ovulation phase is, then you've got the 2 sides, the feel good side, and then you've got the touch and go phase, which I like to call it, because you don't know how women are going to respond. You could be having an absolutely fantastic day, and then you could spill a bit of milk, and then you could be ended up crying the rest of the day, or having a good old cry, right? I know for myself, last month I was out walking the dogs. One of the dogs just wasn't walking for me, and I scooped them up in my arms, and I was having a rant to him, being like, you just need to walk. You're doing my head in. We're going to go home because you're not walking properly. I set him down. Obviously the pep talk worked, because he just started walking back home, had a little cry about it, and then went to the house. And then 3 days later, my period hit. But here, guys, we all have our own stories when it comes to that as well. So give me a second, guys. Need a drink. Right. So there is little tips and tricks that we can do, right? That's going to help with weight loss and help with managing it. But it's not going to be like the eureka, this is it, I need to do this, and I'm going to lose 3 stone next month. Okay. If this makes every month 1 to 2% better over the course of the year, that's going to be 10 to 12%, right? Where would you be if you were 10 to 12% better than you are right now? You'd be pretty far along, pretty far ahead as well. Okay. So the menstrual cycle, it does impact the female's fat burning physiology. Estrogen and progesterone levels, they rise, they fall during the cycle, which means if we time it well, if we just make them small changes to our diet to match our hormone levels, we will foster better results, okay? Especially in fat loss and especially in muscle development. Ladies, especially the ladies involved, we all know how hard it is to build muscle mass, because when it comes to scale weight, it's so variant dependent that it stresses me out. And unless you have access to something that shows your muscle mass and body fat percentage, it's very, very hard to know what direction you're going in. So estrogen, that feel-good hormone, the one that we love, right? That makes us more insulin sensitive, right? Which is what ladies want, because then we're going to be able to tolerate carbs that little bit easier. We're just going to burn our carbs off, get them in. Now, I'm not saying we're able to eat a whole loaf of bread and burn it off, or throw about 400 grams of pasta in this, but we can tolerate just upping our carbs ever so slightly, and they're not going to make a big impact when it comes to our weight loss. Okay. Progesterone, we're not friends with it. Okay. It's not our friend, right? It's more like the opposing hormone. Okay. It opposes the action of insulin. So we're not really insulin sensitive. Okay. So that's a time where we're going to probably need to pull carbs back a wee bit, utilize more complex carbs to control our blood sugar levels, or maybe look at fats. So when estrogen is high, we can tolerate more carbs. And then when progesterone is high, we just need to keep it in tune and pull it back a wee bit. Okay. So estrogen is our muscle building hormone, ladies. Okay. While progesterone is known to interfere with muscle development. Okay. And if I do know, that's why I keep referring to this, a lot of evolved ladies, sometimes we have the Embody machine in our office and it shows muscle mass and body fat percentage. And time again, I've seen people jump on it and they've seen like a big decrease in their muscle mass. And they're like, Amy, I'm hitting my protein, I'm hitting my calories. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm getting stronger. And then I'm like, well, where are you in your cycle? Yeah, I'm just before my period. Okay, that's it there. We're holding a wee bit more water. It looks like your muscle mass is down essentially, but that's not the bigger case. Let's jump on it in 2 weeks' time. Let's see where we're at then. And then usually, guys, in 2 weeks' time, muscle mass shows that it is back up again. Okay. So when it comes to training, we can utilize that and change our training up as we go along. Okay. So if we can understand whereabouts we are on our cycle, if we're on the good side or if we're on the not so good side, the touch and go side, we can make a bigger impact and a bigger difference. Okay. So if you like to split your cycle up into two sides, right? You've got your menstrual cycle, your period, and your ovulation in the middle. You've got your follicular phase and your luteal phase. Okay. So your follicular phase is a period of higher estrogen and lower progesterone. The luteal phase is a period of high estrogen and high progesterone, but I always get tongue-tied in this one, but progesterone is more dominant. Okay. Now this might seem a wee bit confusing in your head and you can't really figure it out, guys, but I've got like a wee recap at the end of it. So just bear with us and it'll make total sense in the end of it. And I'm going to go through it all just in one big cycle so you really understand it there. So let's talk about the feel good phase, right? The crushing it phase, right? That's your follicular. Okay. So once your period and once you stop bleeding, this is where we're feeling good. We're feeling ourselves. We're in the gym. We're training. Okay. This is the time to lift heavy and utilize your training and smash it and use all that energy and just crush it. Okay. So the follicular phase is more estrogen, which is what we love, right? It does contain a wee bit more fat burning, and it is the time where we're able to build muscle a lot easier. Okay. In this phase, carbs can be a little higher due to insulin sensitivity. Okay. And then because we're killing and crushing it in the gym, them extra carbs are going to pay off when it comes to training. All right. You're going to feel good, right? Never skip leg day before you ovulate. All right. You want to be hitting them max lifts. You want to push your training. Go for it. Go for it while you feel good, okay? Because your energy is good. We're sleeping good. We're feeling great. Go hit your PBs, all right? This is why you really want to put the effort in. Let's go lift, all right? I've seen time again where people have been training women and they've been like, all right, come on, we're going to lift heavy, we're going to lift heavy. But see if they're on that opposite side of the scale, the menstrual system, in their luteal phase, their hormones are not going to let it. No matter how much you lift in your head, it won't happen. Like, I'm sure if you've all strength trained before, ladies, I'm sure there's been a day where, like, for example, it's squat day, we're squatting 50 kilo, we're repping it out, it feels easy, no bother. And then 2 weeks later, we're like, all right, I was doing 50 kilo, let's do it again. And it feels like the world is on your shoulders. And you're like, how the hell did I lift that 2 weeks ago? It's all your hormones. It's literally your hormones, guys. And I'm sure we've all sort of been there from time to time. And it took me ages to figure that out, because I was sort of stuck in a rut for ages as well, guys, that I would have obviously felt good. I was like, right, I'm going to go train. I'm going to do this. I'm feeling awesome. And then after ovulation, then energy starts to hit. I'm not lifting as heavy. I get frustrated. I get fed up. I'm like, for fuck's sake, like, why couldn't I lift this here? I'm not hitting any PBs and things like that. Then I would have give up. Then I would have skipped the week. And then I would have went back to training again. Then I would have been sore all over. And it was just that continual cycle rather than letting my training and my hormones work with me. I've just seen someone's dog. How cute. I don't know whose it is, but I just seen someone's dog and it distracted me. So what I would say as well, in our feel good phase and our follicular phase, okay, because of the rise in estrogen, we are prone to injury. Okay, that this makes our tendons more laxative. Okay, we're a wee bit more flexible. The hormone's going to go to our tendons. We're a wee bit more injury prone. And if we're pushing our training, again, that can also help, or can also add to injuries as well. So extra warm-up sets, which is absolutely fine because we've got the energy and we're feeling good and we're going to have a wee bit more carbs after training. Okay. Again, stretching. And again, guys, as I say to every single person who's lifting with me, is risk versus reward. Okay. Could we risk it? Yes, we could. Is it worth the reward? I don't know. How are you feeling? Let's do it. Let's go for it. Perfect. There's the reward. If you're like, I'm not 100% sure, don't do it. It's not worth it. Okay. Don't do it. It's not worth it. So that's the follicular phase, good phase. Like, yes, train where you feel like the Hulk. You feel like you can take on the world. Okay. And then we come to the touch and go phase, the luteal phase. Okay. This is where the lads need to just be a wee bit, are you okay, hon? Like, can I do anything for you? Maybe just step on their toes a wee bit. So the second part of your cycle, progesterone rises significantly, but it also rises with estrogen, but progesterone dominates over, okay? Our body temperature does rise, okay? It can rise to 0.5 degree. Now, that might not seem a lot, but we all know whenever it comes to body temperature, small micro or point of temperatures can make a big difference. So during this phase, you can split the luteal phase into two, if you like. You can split it into like the early stages and you can split it into the late phases. The early stages are dead on. They're okay. They're not too bad, but it's whenever we get into the late phases, which we really need to just dial it down that wee bit, okay? So during this phase, you might find that you might not have as much endurance, okay? You might not be able to hit your max lifts, and you might feel a wee bit worse off in your training compared to the first part. We've all been there. We've had like the shitty couple of days in the gym. We're like, flipping heck, this seems so hard. But like last week, I was smashing it. Hormones, okay? So the beginning of the luteal phase will mean less muscle building capabilities as well, okay? So we're not going to be really efficient at building muscle here, but we are efficient at burning fat, okay? So when it comes to training, if you're not feeling strong, but you're still feeling good, then we're just going to change our workup slightly, okay? You might not go as heavy on your weights, but here, let's add an extra 5 reps in and go lighter. Okay, you might want to bring your heart rate up that wee bit more by adding them extra reps in and going slightly lighter. You might add in another set because we're going lighter. You might even add in a wee conditioning high intensity body weight circuit at the end because we're still feeling good at this phase. We still want to get sweaty. We're still able to train and throw that in there, okay? During the early luteal phase, okay, your calorie intake, again, it's going to more or less stay the same, but I would recommend that you focus on complex carbs, only to maintain your blood sugar levels, okay? You might feel like 1 minute, like you want to eat loads of things, and then 1 minute you might not have an appetite. So complex carbs, like your potatoes, your rice, your quinoa, your beans, just normal blood sugar levels, just to help control that as well. What I would say as well, if any women in here is training, maybe if you're like an athlete, if you're going to be training for over an hour, if you're doing like endurance based stuff, I would supplement electrolytes while you train just to get the most out of that, guys. If you're maybe doing, even if you're like out hiking, things like that, something that's going to be over a long period of time, maybe even you've like scheduled like a charity event in or something like that, that you have to take part in, and it's like a load of kilometer cycle or something like that, you just supplement with electrolytes just to help with your energy and your blood sugar levels as well, so you just don't slum that energy down and then bring it back up again. So that's more or less like the early luteal phase. Okay, and then we come to the premenstrual. Okay, so brain chemistry is impacted when both estrogen and progesterone levels fall during the premenstrual period, right? So this is going to be your later phase, okay? And this is just before your period, right? This is where the women get the horns in their head, and it's touch and go. It's touch and go, all right? So what happens is both the hormones then drop, right? With this, our serotonin drops, our mood drops, we're cranky. The increase in our body temperature the week before, we probably haven't slept great either. So again, wee bit of sleep deprived there as well. And I just want to touch on sleep very quickly and say that you cannot catch up on your sleep. If you have a shit night's sleep, you can't catch up on it with a nap the next day. Now, a nap will help, but you can't catch up on sleep. I just want to say that. Our cravings increase, especially for the chocolate, the sweets, the starchy foods, right? This is where women will out eat men, right? Literally, we will be like, game on, give it to us. Let me show you what I can eat. All right. Now, if ladies, your goal is weight loss, if it is fat loss, if it is trimming down, this is the part a lot of women give into. Okay, they let their hormones get the best of them, binge eat, throw the head up, get the Chinese order, give me my chocolate bar, give me my sweets, give me my cars, because I am a hole and you cannot fill me, right? So this is where we got to be careful, especially if our goal is weight loss. Right now, I'm not saying that you can't have anything, okay? We just got to be smart with it, because at the end of the day, if you're serious about your goal, if you're serious about weight loss, then you got to be a wee bit more serious when it comes to this phase, and you got to be on it. Okay, there is things that we can help. So because our serotonin's dropped and because our both of our hormones have dropped, okay, that means our leptin levels are also dropped as well. So our leptin controls our brain and telling us when we are full. Okay, so if our leptin levels are low, our brain's like, I am not full, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. And then before you know it, you're 4,000 calories deep with a tub of Ben and Jerry's, questioning what the fuck have you did. You threw the dad up in the air, but you're going to start Monday again. Okay, that is literally the way it goes. So during this time, okay, yes, plan for it. Ladies, we all know it's going to happen, right? So just like you would plan for a wedding, you would plan to get your dress, your hair, your nails, your makeup all done. Plan for this every month, okay? You know what's going to happen. If your cupboard is filled with biscuits, cakes, and chocolates, get rid of it, throw it out, because it's only going to be in the back of your head. And whenever you're in this mood, nothing will stop you until you get to that biscuit tin, right? So have your lower calorie treats in there, okay? Have your more complex carbs, all right? Fuel up on good foods. Keep your protein high, okay? Especially in the luteal phase. That's when we really need to nail down our protein, because this is the phase where progesterone is going to stop us from building muscle. Okay, and muscle mass is important. So we need to nail our protein here, ladies. It's really, really important. So I always say to my women, listen, if you've got cravings, do one thing for me first. Hit your protein for the day, okay? Usually if we're hitting 100 to 120 grams of protein, our appetite is usually more steadier, and we're like, do you know what? I'm not really craving as much as I did at the start of the day. My protein's there. I've got a couple of calories leftovers. Let's have some ice lollies and some lower calorie treats. Okay, that's usually sort of what happens as well there. So the best practice for women is to train is more to split your cycle into building phase, build muscle, we lift our lifts, we hit PRs, we smash our training, it's unreal, we're feeling good, we're feeling like the Hulk, and then focus on like that fat burning phase here, okay? pull your weights down, throw in more reps, maybe a wee sweat session, get sweaty, still feel good, still train. Okay, guys. So this might make it seem a wee bit easier to understand because you can sort of see it in front of you here. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the whole thing again, just for like a little recap. And again, guys, like I could split this up and we could go into the follicular phase and talk like really in depth about it. But again, it's just the tip of the iceberg. So menstruating. Okay, so our period, again, 2 to 8 days. Everybody is different, right? Record it, track when it started, track when it ends. Okay, during this phase, a lot of women are completely different. Okay, some women don't even realize that they're on it. Some people are bed bound. It absolutely depends. Okay, and there's so much evidence to say that exercise is good for you. It helps relieve pain and things like that. Ladies, I am bed bound. If someone says to me, Amy, you're exercising, I says, no, I am not. I'm counting the reps in my sleep. Like I am fit for nothing. I am not moving. I physically cannot do it. Okay. And I accept that. And that is fine. Maybe when the pain eases off and I'm feeling a wee bit better, my energy comes back, I've got a wee bit of sugar in me, I'll maybe go and focus on steps. And I'll just be like, listen, I'll just try my best to get my steps in because that's all I'm fit for. Again, everybody is different. Everyone's going to manage it different. So during your period, again, you can train if you feel good, if you feel fine, 100%. I would also say is try to eat iron-rich foods. Again, we are bleeding, we are losing blood. So you're going to be looking at your lovely leafy green veg and your steaks, your red meat. Okay, just a real try get that iron in because you're going to feel very fatigued. You're going to feel very low down. And what I would also say as well, so during our periods, both hormones are at an all-time low. Ladies, we're also susceptible to picking up infections a lot easier because both of them hormones are low. Okay, so that's also like a wee thing to bear in mind. So make sure you're masking up, you got your gloves on when you're on your period. And again, guys, so during this time, just manage your symptoms. Again, everybody's absolutely different. Okay, after this, the follicular phase, it's the good feel phase. Okay, our pain thresholds increased. We've got optimal performance. It's easier to build muscle here. We're going to benefit from a small increase of carbs and we're going to feel good. We're feeling ourselves, okay? We're feeling good. All right, we're in the gym. We're crushing it, okay? So estrogen here on the light blue bit, our estrogen is up. It's up nice and high, okay? Then when it comes to ovulation, it dips. Okay, so down here, blood sugar, wee bit unstable. Let's look at our complex carbs. Let's look at our sweet potatoes. Let's look at our beans, rice, anything like that. Just real good, steady intake of carbs. Okay, again, keeping your protein high. And then just intense training. It shouldn't really affect your training around here. Although I do know some people actually get it worse in the ovulation than they do in their period. Again, completely different. We got to manage what we can at the time. But generally speaking, training, keep it intense. We should be okay here. All right. So estrogen has now dropped. And then we're going to come into the luteal phase. So again, guys, like I said, we can split this pink phase here up into 2 sections. So at the start, our estrogen and progesterone rise. Okay. So your body temperature rises. Can't handle carbs as greatly. We're going to hold a wee bit of water retention and we're going to make sure we're getting our protein in, especially after working out, because that progesterone level is rising. It's blocking our muscle building capabilities. Okay, so if you need to change your training up, go lighter, go higher reps, throw in a wee cardio session. It's going to pick you up. It's going to make you feel good. Get sweaty. Okay, mix it up. Then when we go into the later phase here, guys, okay, the later luteal phase, so you sort of see the purple box here, carbs are essential. Again, you got to manage your premenstrual symptoms. You got to manage your cravings, especially if fat loss, weight loss is the goal. If you give in to it every month, you're just going to be on that continual cycle. Okay, be smart about it. Make sure, yes, you're getting your carbs in. Make sure they're good steady carbs, keep your protein high. And again, guys, my wee tip is nail your protein first. And then, you know, let's look at our calorie expenditure and see what we have left for our snacks and be smart about our snacks as well there, guys. So that sort of makes it a wee bit easier to understand as we sort of go around the whole phase. But if you break it up into two parts, feel good phase and then the not so feel good phase, yeah, it's fine at the bottom, but that top end, if we just pay attention and manage it. And again, guys, if we just track it, it makes it so much easier. Okay. Some people's cycles might be 28 days, some people's cycles might be 48 days, whatever. If you get 3 to 4 weeks in your follicular phase, lucky you. If you may get 2 weeks in your luteal phase, lucky you again. It is all dependent. That wheel can shift in different directions, and each woman's going to have different so many days in each phase as well. But I would just encourage you just to track it. And I would also say as well, especially if you're maybe just starting your weight loss journey or anything like that, always give it at least 3 months. Okay, at least 3 months. And the reason why I say that is our hormones go through a full cycle change every 12 weeks. Okay. That there's whenever the eggs in the ovaries change and produce brand new eggs. So then your whole hormonal cycle will change. Again, everybody is different. Okay. Some women don't even know if they have a real period or not because they're on contraception, and you know, some contraception are hormonal based, some aren't. That suppresses your natural hormones. It tricks your brain into thinking, oh yeah, I've got hormones in my body, like don't need to produce an egg and things like that, which to me is just a wee bit unnatural, and it can have a lot more side effects than actually the good side to it. But again, everybody is different. Everybody's on different medication and contraception depending on their symptoms and how they manage it and things like that as well, guys. So that is more or less me just touching the tip of the iceberg with everything menstrual. I hope that last wee bit there made sense as I was talking about the couple of different phases there as well, guys. So I'm just going to exit my screen here and just going to flick back in to see if anybody has any question. How much grams of carbs should a woman eat daily? Cardi, that is again entirely dependent. It can affect training. It can. So I'll start on Carly's one here. How much grams of carbs should a woman eat daily? It is entirely dependent again on your training and things like that. What I like to do is first nail your protein. So I would work out your protein requirements, and then your carbs and fats are the fillers. Okay. So some people can handle a high carb diet and it doesn't affect them. They don't bloat or anything like that. Some people struggle with a high fat diet. Again, it depends. So Carly, I would work out your protein requirements first. Just say, for example, it works out 120 grams of protein. And then that is, what's 120 times 4? Because there's 4 calories in the gram of protein. 480 calories. So then if your calorie requirements throughout the day is 1800 calories, you've got 1400 calories to split between carbs and fats, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, shoot me a wee message, like we can get you worked out on that there as well and dial in that wee bit more. But usually 120 grams. It's usually around about that there. But again, depending on your type of training, like you might be training endurance training where you need more carbs, or real high intensity training, again, more carbs you need there. Contraception can affect training depending on what type it is. There's so many different variants out there. Some are hormonal based, some are not hormonal based. And everybody has a different reaction to that contraception. So we could be on the same one, but I can experience something completely different to yourself, or Gavin. I was going to say to yourself, Gavin, but that's a guy. He's probably asking for one of his female clients there. Last PTM, 165 grams of protein, so hard to hit. That does seem quite high, Carly. Depending on your height and weight with your protein as well. And I know a lot of women struggle with hitting protein or high protein, especially because like women sort of just like to eat maybe just like cereal or something in the morning, which isn't going to really set you up for the day. And anytime I work with women, the first thing we do is look at calories. The first thing they say to me is, Amy, I'll never be able to eat all them calories. And the second thing they say to me is, I'm going to struggle to get this protein, but it's a slow progress. 165 does seem high, depends on your weight though, Carly, as well. That does seem like pretty hard to hit. I would usually average around 100 to 120 a day, and that suits me. I'd be sitting at around 68 kilo or so, 5'5". But again, Carly, if you want to shoot me a wee message, we can get you help on that as well, a wee bit more clear direction. So guys, I hope that helped. I hope you took some nuggets away from that. I would love your feedback on it, guys, even if you want to share it in socials and things like that as well. Even if you want to shoot me a wee message on Facebook, you can find me in the Evolve socials or on Facebook. Guys, thank you so much for joining in, guys. I do hope you took a wee nugget away from that. And again, everyone's different. We just need to try and understand our own bodies as much. And again, especially for all like the guy PTs in here as well, just open that conversation up with your women clients, because they might be a wee bit afraid to talk to you because it might be a wee bit embarrassing. But if you take that first step and be like, listen, I need to understand where you're at in terms of your cycle, because we want to make sure you're getting the most out of you. I don't want to be pushing you whenever your hormones are playing against you. So we want to make sure that you're feeling good in every session, you know, guys. So just open that conversation up with your female clients as well. They will appreciate it, and you'll have that better understanding of them as well when it comes to training them, and you'll get so much more out of them, and then they'll be more open and stuff, and they'll trust you a lot more too. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. So that is it for me, guys. We're just finished that on Under the Hour, which I'm impressed with. No, that was good. So guys, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get a wee quick selfie here, guys, just with everybody on. I know a lot of people have their cameras turned off, which is cool. And just to throw on the socials, because I think this is the first time we have on it there, 30, 35, which is cool, guys. So let's just throw up a wee selfie, because here, who doesn't love a Zoom selfie at the end of the day these days? So guys, thank you so much for joining me there, guys. Appreciate you jumping on. Give me any feedback, guys, that you have, criticism, feedback, what you would like to hear more of, or if you want me to dive in deeper to something, we can do that in the next couple of weeks. I will be definitely doing that there more, because as long as I'm, guys, adding value to you guys and helping you and making you understand the confusion of weight loss things. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, I forgot to say this here. If it's weight loss you're after, guys, okay, ladies, especially in my ladies group, what's the best way to weigh yourself? If you want to do it weekly, you can, guys. There's nothing to say you can't. But if you get caught up in the scales, I don't recommend you doing it weekly. What I would recommend is doing it when your period ends. Every time your period ends, weigh yourself, reassess, and then evaluate going through, okay? I would say maybe 4 weekly, but again, some people could be 5 weekly. Some people might not have periods and things like that as well. But I would recommend reassessing yourself either on a 4 weekly basis or when your cycle ends. Okay, guys, forgot to add that in there, actually, as we went through it there. So, guys, that is it for me. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go to my dinner here. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, guys. That was really, really good. Love that there, guys. And yes, Emma, thank you. Love it, guys. Brilliant. Unreal. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye. Easy. Shh. Come on. Great.